What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the February 3rd edition, 2011, of Ask the King. I'm DSP, and I'm here to answer your forum and Twitter questions. And actually, to be completely honest, there's a lot of really good questions this time. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. So let's take a look and get right into it, because I have 3 pages of questions to talk about. Okay. The first question says, "Hey DSP, we have Marvel vs. Capcom 3 coming out soon, and I wanted to ask a question. As you know, many of your fans don't really care for fighting games, if not most of them." Well, I disagree there. I think that a lot of my fans like fighting games, and that's kind of how they found me, watching me play Street Fighter 4. But anyway, you said that you would like to devote many, many hours to this game. Well, can you try to drive us non-Street Fighter fans into this? What I ask is if you can make a how-to videos or something like that, giving us Street Fighter noobs a chance to catch up and follow. I recently bought a Sega Genesis to play Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. That game was never released for Sega Genesis, FYI. But anyway, and I'm not that good at all. If you can make segments on tips, tactics, I guess you left out a word here, what you should do in some situations, etc., that would be awesome, and I'm sure many fans feel the same as I do. And that's actually from PlayStation 3. That's right. The actual console, PlayStation 3, wrote me that question. Well, the answer is this. I actually am planning to do that. When Marvel vs. Capcom 3 comes out, I want to treat it how I treated Street Fighter 4 initially when that game came out. And if you remember, what I did is first I played the living hell out of it online. I just kept playing. The difference this time is I know that the online play kind of sucks. I really don't think that the netcode is going to be good enough to hold up any kind of online play in that game. So I'm going to play it with people offline. There's a lot of people in Connecticut here who I've been recruiting to play this game with me. So we're going to play the hell out of the game. And then maybe after a week or two, once you figure out what are the good strategies, what are the things that are the best to do, I'm going to do things such as character tutorial videos, maybe just basic gameplay tutorial videos. So you're going to see a lot of variety in the footage that I do. Yes, the majority of it is going to be match footage, but you're also going to see tutorial videos and also tournament videos. For tournaments that I attend, I'll be recording those matches. So that was a great question, very timely, and yeah, that's the kind of stuff you can expect as I start to play new fighting games this year. Both Marvel 3 and Mortal Kombat 9, I plan on doing that. So, all right, the next question, what do you think of the inclusions and exclusions in the cast of Marvel vs. Capcom 3? And that's from Crutch93. Kind of I don't know, I'm on the fence on this, because some of the characters are really good, like Wesker. I mean, that was a shoo-in. Wesker, over the past couple episodes of Resident Evil, he's become almost like a super villain. He's super powerful. He fits in with the cast of a game like Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Super Skrull, great choice. He's got the powers of all the Fantastic Four. I've seen his gameplay. It looks really unique. He's going to be a good inclusion. But then I see stuff like MODOK, Taskmaster, and I'm like, where were they getting these choices from? They're definitely a lot more popular Marvel characters who they could have chosen. At least on the Capcom side, I can kind of understand why they're choosing who they're choosing. I am a little disappointed, because on the Capcom side, I'd actually prefer to see maybe some lesser-known Darkstalkers. Like, why isn't Sasquatch or John Talbane, why aren't they in the game? Instead, you get the same old people, Morrigan and Felicia, and it's like, isn't that kind of a cop-out? Like, they've already been in a Marvel game. In fact, Morgan's been in 2 Marvel games. I guarantee you she's going to play very similarly to how she used to. And it's like, that's kind of lame. Give us new characters, you know? And maybe, on the flip side of that, maybe that's why characters like Taskmaster or MODOK are good choices. Because they're completely new, their gameplay style might be completely different. Now, on the same basis that, you've got returning characters like Magneto, Storm, and Sentinel, and as soon as everyone saw those 3, they groaned and said, oh god, is it going to be like Marvel 2 all over again? I personally don't think it's going to be like Marvel 2 all over again. I think there's going to be some variations in the gameplay that are going to make it a completely different animal. But that's just my take. I watched some of the videos of Sentinel. He definitely doesn't look. He doesn't look as threatening as he used to be. Fly on Fly doesn't seem like it works the same as it used to. It also seems like maybe he's lost some of his super armor abilities. He might still have it, but not as much. And I really don't think he's going to be. He'll be a good character. Don't get me wrong, but he's going to be the biggest character in this game. He's going to be a moving target. So it's a brand new game. Okay, these same kind of questions popped up when Marvel 2 came out. And between Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, completely different games. Changes in gameplay, changes in the button layout. We're talking the same exact thing from Marvel 2 to Marvel 3. I reserve my official opinions until I actually have enough hands-on experience with the game. Okay. Next question. Hey Phil, who are you going to main in Marvel 3? And who do you want to be in the game as well? Sorry, I'm just checking my stopwatch here. That's from Bart Flyer. Who do I want to be in the game that's not in it? I would have loved to see someone like World War Hulk, because that was a big thing going on. Maybe some Marvel Zombies characters would have been cool. But let's face it, they're not going to choose those outliers. But who am I going to main? I don't know. There's a couple people I'm eyeing. I'm eyeing Wesker. I'm eyeing Super Skrull. I've been looking for, like, when I first started playing Marvel 3, I liked playing like a villains team. Like I played Doctor Doom, Blackheart, and maybe a third villain. And I used to like even color coordinate the team. But obviously, as time progressed, people found out those characters weren't as good as the top tiers, and that all changed. So initially, I'm probably going to pick characters who I like their design and I like their fighting style. But over time, it might evolve to the best characters in the game. So we have to see. But anyway, we'll see how it progresses. But that's just a couple of my ideas. Next question. Dear Phil, I know you have a fairly busy schedule with new releases and all, but do you plan on going back to Fallout New Vegas and doing side quests? I loved your Fallout playthroughs and was wondering whether or not you would go back before you invest a shitload of time in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's from Symbolic. Well, great timing for that question, because from what I see, next week there are no new game releases, at least any that I'd be interested in, and so it may be kind of a filler week. And what I may do, and I'm not saying this 100% yet, but my idea for next week is maybe I'll make up some of the fan appreciation days, which I had to skip during that whole week in January where the Blit TV fiasco was going on. And it might be a good time to do that because actually Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which I did not play, now has some new maps and new game modes. So it might be the perfect time to try those out. In addition to that, I'm thinking that I may go back to Fallout New Vegas and try to do a couple of the side missions that I didn't do. Now, I did most of the major ones. I think there's only one or two major things that I didn't even do. But one of them is one of the hardest in the game. I think it's taking out a whole shitload of super mutants. And it might be a little easier now because I have the alien blaster, so that may be a little bit overpowered. And I also have the holographic rifle from the DLC, Dead Money. So it could be interesting to go back and see what happens. Also, some people have sent me some tips. Like someone told me, oh, Phil, that gun that you used for the entire Fallout 3 playthrough is actually in New Vegas. There's only one of them known. It's in this rare area, and there's people have been sending me that kind of stuff. So next week might be like a filler week, but it might be one of the most interesting weeks because I might be going back to New Vegas. I might be doing more fan appreciation that I didn't get to do. So stay tuned for that. I'll have more updates on that. Excuse me. Next question. Hey, Darkside Phil, here's my question. The CEO of Microsoft, Steve Ballmer, I don't know how to say his name, has said that the Xbox 360 isn't a gaming console, and that's what helps differentiate it from its competition. He then said, Xbox is a family entertainment center. It's a place to socialize. It's a place to watch TV. We have Hulu coming. It's the only system where you are the controller, your voice, your gestures, your body. Do you think the Xbox 360 is a gaming console? And do you think that it should broaden their market to families with the Kinect or stick to hardcore games? And that's from, his tag is actually excited for 2011, so I don't know what this guy's going to do when it hits 2012. But anyway, interesting little quote there that he got from Steve Ballmer. I agree and I disagree. I completely agree that Xbox 360 is branching out in a major way. I know a lot of people who watch TV and also movies on the Xbox 360, and I actually am one of them. I regularly download and rent movies over the Zune marketplace on my Xbox 360 because number one, they're in 1080p, and number two, they stream, which is a really good asset. Now, some might argue the PS3 can do it as well. Yes, it can, but the streaming sucks, and the speed I found in comparison to the Xbox 360 is much slower. So you could do the same thing on the PS3, but the technology there doesn't seem to be up to par with the Xbox. And that's just my opinion. I mean, not my opinion, I'm sorry, my experience. It's not opinion, that's actually fact from what I've experienced with the consoles owning both. So, I've rented movies on both. 360 is a much better experience. So, in one respect where he says it's not just a gaming console, it's an entertainment center, I can agree. I disagree where he's saying things like, you're the controller, blah, blah, blah. That's not even there yet, okay? Yes, I do know that the Kinect, sold like hotcakes. Everyone played the 3 popular Kinect games, and now everyone's Kinect is fucking sitting in a corner collecting dust because there's no games, and the technology isn't that good. So, that's exactly what to be expected with this new technology. Remember, when the iPhone came out, everyone rushed to get the iPhone, and they said, oh shit, the service sucks because it's AT&T. When everything comes out and is new, there's this artificial hype that's created around it. Everyone runs out and buys it, and then the reality sets in after a couple of months. And I really think that's what's happening with the Kinect right now. And for me, I'm actually disappointed because I was hoping there would be a lot of games that are Kinect enabled, and right now there's nothing. There's nothing even announced coming out in 2011. Like, what the fuck? How can you have a new thing, an add-on for your system that you hyped up for a long-ass time? You had a couple months with games, and now there's nothing. I mean, that's insane. So, obviously he's saying that part just to try to push the Kinect, but for the most part, I agree. The 360 has become this console that does other things. Socializing, I completely agree. There's people who are constantly creating parties. They just do that to chat with their friends and stuff over Xbox Live. In fact, it's cool. You can talk to people across the globe, and you don't have to pay long-distance charges. It's really amazing. PSN is close. It's getting there, but it's not there yet with its capabilities. The one thing that the PlayStation 3 does have over the 360 on the entertainment front, though, is that it's a Blu-ray player. So really, each console has its positives and negatives. I'd say they're about equal right now. I don't really see any reason why you wouldn't want to buy either console. I think it's a really tough decision if you're a first-time buyer to decide which console to buy. So, yeah, the question here is, do you think they should broaden their market to families with Kinect or stick to hardcore games? I think that as long as you don't only exclusively do one, they're going to be successful. The problem is, look at the Wii. Look what happened. Almost the entire focus ended up being on the casual audience. And so, yeah, sure, Nintendo made a shitload of money for a couple of years, but now, like, who the fuck wants a Wii? Like, what is coming out for the Wii besides Zelda? Nothing. There's, like, nothing announced this year for the Wii. So all the casual people are buying it, but the hardcore gamers left in the dust. And what you have to realize is the hardcore gamers are the people that repeatedly buy video games and are going to be there to support your product, as opposed to just cashing in with the casual gamers, and now you're trying to sustain this sales model that just isn't going to sustain itself. So it is what it is. I think that 360 will try to cater to both, but I am disappointed that actually there are no Kinect games really coming out. Okay, next question. Don't mind me, I'm checking the time again. Final Fantasy 13 is getting a direct sequel. What are your thoughts? That's from Mr. David 2112. And my thoughts are this. I guess there are a shitload of people in Japan who fucking love grinding, because the first 10 hours of Final Fantasy 13 is really good. It's a straightforward game, no grinding required, and then you get to this open world, and the gameplay completely changes. It goes from like something that was really good to really just repetitive and boring, because you have to sit there and fucking grind, and it's just not that fun at that point. And then the game has an insane difficulty spike at that point. And knowing the Japanese, I don't think they're going to fix it. I think that they're going to have, this is going to be the same fucking thing. It's probably going to start out with a story-based game, Final Fantasy 13-2 or whatever they're calling it. It'll probably start out with heavily story-based, and all of a sudden in the middle of the game, time to grind. So it is what it is. Those games, for whatever reason, have a very strong fan base in Japan. It's probably grown to be part of their traditional culture. For me, I'm not so impressed. Like I've said many times, I really enjoyed the old traditional Final Fantasy games, like 4 and 6. Those were the best in my opinion, and you're never going to get better than that if you're changing your formula to what they've done. But anyway, that's my opinion. Okay. Next question. Hey Phil, you said before that you were hated so much that people were booing you on stage when you were playing in a Street Fighter tournament. Why is that? That's from BTR Chaz. Multiple reasons. Number one, because as I've said 100 times now, I was very outspoken in the Street Fighter community. I said what I thought was fact or truth, and a lot of people hated me for it. Maybe because sometimes it wasn't truth, it was basically a bad opinion, or it was a very biased opinion of what I was saying, so I understand that. And the other thing you have to understand is, at the time, in fact, only until maybe the past year or two, Evolution remained a very West Coast focused tournament, meaning the most people that attended it were from California and the West Coast area. So anyone who came from another region was considered an underdog. Now, this has changed with the popularity of Street Fighter 4. Now you're seeing people coming from multiple countries, and it seems like the tournament scene is changing. So, I really do think that when I go to EVO this year, it's going to be a completely different animal. I think that you're going to have so many people from so many different areas that it's going to be like, it's not going to be like one group of people, boo, fuck this guy. It's going to be more like everyone just, wow, here we are on the grand stage, and we're going to see who's the best in the world. So, you know, going from a little grassroots movement to a giant thing like EVO's become, that's the kind of changes that happen. Up next, we have a question. Hey, Phil, I was watching Cinemassacres, and he says AVGN's latest, and that's the Angry Video Game Nerd for anyone who doesn't know. His latest video on his website, which was entitled James at MagFest Part 1 Q&A. So, the Angry Video Game Nerd attended MagFest. As you know, I wanted to attend it, but unfortunately I wasn't able to, because by the time I had gotten my first payment from YouTube, which would have enabled me to go, no hotel rooms were available, you couldn't reserve a time slot, you couldn't do anything. So at that point I said forget it. But anyway, it looks like the nerd did a Q&A. He says, one of the questions was, have you played any recent games that you thought were really bad? And someone in the audience said Heavy Rain really loudly, and I was wondering what your reaction to this is, and that's from Charlie. And my reaction to this is, wow, that is one dumb motherfucker. Because if he thought Heavy Rain sucked, it means that he doesn't fucking like games. What he likes to do is probably play one little particular style of game, and he has his thumb up his fucking ass and doesn't understand what a truly good game is. So fuck that guy. Anyway, couple minutes left, so I'm gonna address some commonly asked questions. Meaning, I'm not going to give any particular person who asked them, because so many people have asked them that I just want to address them, you know, like a class action answer, okay? First of all, Phil, what happened to the funniest moments of 2010 montage? Blah, 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 blah. We were really looking forward to it. Pretty obvious what happened. I was working on the top 20 games of 2010. I got them up on Blip TV. Then Blip TV shut me off. And so everything got thrown a monkey wrench, and then new games started coming out, and I started playing them, and now I'm on YouTube again, and there's really just no opportunity for me to do it at this point. If you really want to see some of my funniest moments of 2010, just search for it, and a lot of people have actually done. I think there were 2 or 3 people who've done really good montages. I saw them, I was like, wow, that's really good. He picked some of my funniest moments of the year. In fact, I probably would have used some of those moments in my own montage, and I do apologize to all the fans that happened. Here's hoping that next year we don't have all this chaos at the end of the year, and I'm able to put together something really great. But unfortunately, at this point, I'm going to be busy with other games and stuff. There's no point in going backwards when I can head forward. So sorry about that. Number 2, Phil, are you going to play this specific game? Or are you going to play that specific game? Or are you going to play Heavy Rain? Or are you going to play what's the one everyone asks me? Oh, Dragon Age 2. Are you going to play Elder Scrolls 5, even though I've said 100 times, yes, I'm going to try to play Elder Scrolls 5. People keep fucking asking me the same question. Are you going to play that? Are you going to play MK9? Yes, I've said that 1,000 times. Please don't use the Ask the King as an opportunity to ask me one specific game. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's a waste of a question. I'm not going to drop everything to tell you if I'm playing one specific game. Anyone who's followed me for a while knows that I regularly put out, every couple of months, a video that has my gaming schedule. And I'm going to continue to do that. So the next video that comes out, you'll know exactly what I'm playing. And that'll probably come out, I would say, probably right before Marvel 3 is released, because I'm going to want to let everyone know exactly what I'm playing during that time, even though it might be very Marvel-centric. There's other games coming out that I'm going to want to try. So stay tuned for that. Alright, this one I will address because this was a big announcement. Am I going to play Duke Nukem? Did I hear the announcement about Duke Nukem? Yes, I heard. In fact, I'm signed up for their mailing list, and I found out that, yes, Duke Nukem is coming out in May of 2011. Finally, Duke Nukem Forever, after over a decade of development, because it got sold away from that original studio, went to a new studio, and now Gearbox, I believe, is finishing that. And I'm excited. I've seen some of the footage. It looks good. I mean, I think that the game was ready 10 years ago, and I think that one guy who had creative control was a fucking lunatic. And if anything, all the people who worked for him should have said, listen, either fucking release the game or we all quit. Because we're tired of remaking your game 700 times because you're out of your mind. And, sorry, that's just my opinion. No game's ever going to be perfect. And no, obviously if the game was horrendously bad, it shouldn't have been released. But from what I see, the game looks really fun, interesting, a lot of funny humor. You know, it's rude and crude, but that was the style of Duke Nukem back in the 90s. And now it's just a shame because a lot of the people who were playing Duke Nukem back then probably won't play this game because they're all adults. You know, I'm that middle generation where I was younger, but I actually played Duke Nukem on the back end. And so now, you know, there's a new generation that'll play it, and maybe they might not even understand it because they're not going to understand where this guy is, who the character is, where he's coming from. But I'm excited. I'm looking to get into the beta when it's available. And actually, they've started announcing some exclusive launch parties where people can go and play the beta. There's actually one this, I think this weekend? No, it's actually on Monday in Las Vegas. Obviously, I'm not flying to Las Vegas to play the game, but if they have one on the East Coast, I might look to actually go and attend it and let everyone know what I think about it. So, all right, one more common question, and then we're going to end this part. We'll go to part 2 because time's running out. Everyone's asking me about the P.O. box. You know, as you know, I got a P.O. box in December, and a lot of people sent me Christmas cards and things in December, and I was very appreciative of that. And people are saying, Phil, when are you going to do another P.O. box video? Well, the answer is, it would be kind of hard when there's nothing in it. I checked about 2 weeks ago, and there was nothing new in the P.O. box. Wait, I can actually take that back. There was one Christmas card from an Australian fan that looks like it had been ridiculously delayed. I don't know what happened. Maybe it got lost somewhere. So I ended up getting it in January. But, yeah, besides that, there was nothing in there. So if there's nothing in there, there's nothing to make a video about. Now, on the flip side of that, a lot of people recently have been asking me in the P.O. box area of the forums, you know, about some interesting things, and I've been saying yes to some of them. So maybe in the future we'll be picking that back up. But you know, a lot of people ask me, "Gee, do you want this old game? Do you want that old game?" And the answer is no. You know, there's so much new stuff coming out that I'm going to have to focus on, especially when Marvel 3 and Mortal Kombat 9 come out. Those are really going to fill in the downtime for me. So we'll see what happens. I'm not saying that I'm never going to play older games. You know, a lot of people constantly ask me about that or retro idea. Am I ever going to do that DSP retro channel and play old games? There's a very strong possibility I might, because that's probably going to be a fun idea. But let's just focus on what's going on now, and then in the future we'll see how that pans out. Okay? All right. So that's it for part 1. We're running out of time. When I come back, I still have a page and a half of questions. So I'm DSP, and stay tuned for part 2 of Ask the King.